People in the town talked for weeks about the strange man who stood outside Madame Kulu's mansion one hot afternoon, holding only a small black bag and wearing a faded yellow shirt. His face was calm, almost too calm for someone who looked like he had nothing. But what shocked people most was not his quietness. It was the way he kept smiling, even when boys selling pure water laughed at him and called him Uncle No Hope. No one knew that this man, this humble stranger waiting at the gate like a desperate job seeker, was actually one of the richest men in West Africa. His name was Darlington, but today he wanted everyone to call him simply Debo. He came with one mission: to find true love in a world where money spoke louder than the heart. For years he had lived like a king. Big companies, expensive cars, private jet, mansions spread across cities. Everywhere he went, people bowed, people smiled, people worshipped him. But he was tired. Tired of fake smiles. Tired of women who only loved his credit alerts. Tired of friends who disappeared the moment he said, "I want to be alone for a while." He wanted something real. Real friendship. Real love. Real care. Someone who would look at him and see a man, not a bank. So he shaved his beard, wore cheap slippers, changed his posture, removed his watch, and walked away from everything he owned. He told his personal assistant to tell no one where he was going. He wanted to be alone. And he wanted to start again from the bottom. That was how he found himself at the gate of Madame Kulu, one of the strictest women in town. People said she had fired 8 workers in 2 months. But the house also had someone he did not know existed. Someone whose heart would change his life. When he knocked on the gate, he expected Madame Kulu herself to shout immediately. But instead, a young woman opened the gate. A gentle-looking girl with natural hair packed in a simple bun, soft brown eyes, and a wrapper tied around her waist. She stared at him for a moment, like she was trying to understand why someone like him would be sweating under the sun with only one small bag. "Good afternoon," she said softly. "Are you looking for someone?" Debo lowered his eyes like a humble man. "Good afternoon, madam. I came for the gateman job." She blinked. She looked like she wanted to laugh, but not in a rude way. It was surprise. The kind of surprise you feel when someone who looks educated says they want to wash plates for a living. But instead of asking him unnecessary questions, she opened the gate wider. "You're welcome. Follow me. Let me tell madam." He followed her slowly into the compound. Everything inside was big. Too big for a normal family. There was a fountain, a wide garden, tall walls, and a main building that looked like a mini palace. But the workers did not look happy. They walked fast, quietly, and carefully, as if small mistakes could destroy their lives. Some avoided eye contact. Some looked tired. Some looked like they had cried recently. But the girl with natural hair walked differently. Kind. Even her silence looked peaceful. While they walked, she said, "My name is Lami. If madam accepts you, I will show you where everything is." Her voice was gentle. Not too loud. Not too quiet. Just calm enough to make the heart relax. They reached the main building and found Madame Kulu sitting in the living room, counting money with the speed of someone who has no time for nonsense. Her eyes were sharp. Her face carried no smile. When she saw Debo, she scanned him from head to toe. "This one?" she asked Lami. "Yes, ma," Lami replied quietly. Madame Kulu dropped her money on the table and folded her arms. "Gate man job. Are you sure you know how to open gate? Or will you sleep on duty like a goat?" "I will work well, ma," Debo said with small humble voice. She hissed loudly. "I don't like lazy people. I don't like story. I don't like excuses. If you annoy me, I will sack you immediately. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma," he said again. She stared at him for a long moment, trying to measure if he was trouble or not. Then she clicked her tongue. "Lami, give him uniform. Tell Musa to show him the gatehouse. Work starts today. Not tomorrow. Not later. Today. I don't have time for nonsense." Lami nodded and led him away. When they reached the small room beside the gate, Debo looked around. The gatehouse was tiny. A single wooden bed, one chair, one dusty table, and a broken fan that made small noise like a crying bird. But Debo smiled. This was exactly what he wanted, simplicity. Lami brought him uniform. It was old, faded, and smelled of engine oil. "Sorry," she said softly. "Madam does not buy new uniforms. Workers use whatever they see." "It's okay," he replied. She looked at him, surprised at how easy he was to please. Most workers usually complained, but this man smiled at everything. "Do you have water?" she asked. "I will find," he said. But she shook her head. "Wait." She returned a few minutes later with cold pure water and bread. "For you," she said quietly. He stared at her, confused. "Why?" "You just came," she said. "You look tired." He collected it slowly. No one had given him free bread in years. Not without camera, not without social media, not without asking for something in return. But this girl did not even wait for thanks. She simply smiled and left. For a long moment, Debo stood there holding the bread. And something warm moved inside his chest. The next hours were full of work. Musa, the senior gateman, was a tall, dark man who liked shouting. He did not shout at Debo because of anger. He shouted because he wanted to show who controlled the gate. "You see this gate," Musa said. "If Madam finds it dirty, you are finished. She will insult your ancestors. So clean it well." "I understand," Debo said calmly. "You see this schedule," Musa continued. "Night shift today is yours. I want to rest. Don't sleep. Madam can appear any time. I will stay awake. You see this bell." Musa tapped a small iron bell. "When it rings, that means Madam is calling. Run. Don't walk. Run. Unless you want to die." Debo nodded again. By evening, he had washed the gate, swept the surroundings, arranged the dustbins, and cleaned the security table. His uniform was already dirty with dust, but he felt relaxed. He liked the work. It made him feel human again. Night fell slowly. The compound lights came on. The air became cooler. Workers finished their duties one by one and returned to the staff quarters. But Lami came to the gate once more. "I brought you dinner," she said, handing him a small plate of jollof rice. He stared at her again. "You are too kind." She shook her head. "No. I just know how it feels to be new." He collected the food. She smiled faintly and turned to leave, but he called her gently. "Lami." Pause. "Thank you." She smiled again, this time a little wider. "You're welcome." And she walked away. That night, Debo sat at the gate, watching stars, thinking deeply. Who was this girl? Why was she so kind? Why did her eyes look like someone who had known pain but still carried gentleness? But while he was thinking, something strange happened. A loud, heavy car drove into the street. Music blasted from the car. 3 women were inside, laughing loudly. The car stopped in front of Madam's gate. The woman in the front seat had long nails and heavy makeup. "Hey, gate man," she shouted. "Open." He stood up quickly and opened the gate. But the moment they entered, the woman looked at him again and laughed. "See this one? Fresh face, poor body. You will be fine if you stop eating beans." The women laughed and walked into the house. Later that night, Lami passed the gate again, heading to the kitchen. He could not stop himself from asking. "Those women, who are they?" She hesitated. "Madam's daughters." "Oh," she sighed. "Don't worry. They don't respect anyone. Just ignore them." He nodded. But as she walked away, he noticed something. Her left hand had a scar. Long thin scar. As if she once cut herself badly. He wanted to ask, but he kept quiet. Around midnight, while he sat outside, he heard someone crying. Very quietly. Very softly. The sound came from behind the kitchen. He stood up carefully and went there. He froze when he saw her. 'Twas Lami. She sat on a small stone, hugging her knees, crying silently so nobody would hear. He stepped back, not wanting to disturb her. But his heart squeezed painfully. Why was she crying? What hurt her? Who hurt her? He quietly returned to the gate. For the first time in many years, he felt something real for someone. Not desire, not attraction, something deeper. And he whispered to himself, "Maybe this is why I came here." He did not know that this was only the beginning. Very soon his secret life would collide with hers. And love would test both of them in ways neither expected. The next morning, as the first light of dawn touched the sky, Debo was already sweeping the compound. His eyes were heavy from staying awake all night, but he did not mind. Every few minutes, he remembered the image of Lami crying behind the kitchen, and his heart squeezed again. He did not know why her pain affected him so much. He barely knew her. But something about her gentleness, her quiet strength, her soft kindness, made him feel like she deserved better than whatever made her cry like that. When Lami came out of the staff quarters carrying a bucket of water, she looked surprised to see him awake. "You didn't sleep?" she asked. He smiled. "Night shift." She nodded. "I brought this for you." She handed him another sachet of water. "Drink before the sun becomes hot." He collected it slowly. "Lami, last night were you?" Before he could finish, she lifted her eyes sharply, fear flashing across her face. "You heard me," she whispered. He nodded but gently. "I didn't come close. I didn't want to disturb you." She looked down quickly, blinking back something he could not read. Shame, pain, or fear. "Please," she whispered. "Don't tell anyone." "I won't," he said softly. She swallowed and nodded. Then she walked away fast, as if her feet were trying to escape her feelings. He wanted to call her back, ask what happened, ask who made her cry, but he respected her space. He didn't want to push. Around midday he met trouble. Madame Kulu stormed toward the gate area, marching like a soldier. Her daughters followed behind her, chewing gum loudly. "Gate man," she shouted. He rushed to her. "Yes, Ma." "You," she hissed. "Why is the gatehouse not painted? Why is the metal stool not shining? Why is the step dirty? Did you come here to sleep?" He bowed his head. "Sorry, Ma. I will clean it now." She slapped the metal stool hard with her palm. "If this place is not shining by evening, go home." "Yes, Ma." Her daughters laughed and followed her away. As he bent down to scrub, his mind returned to the same thought. So this is how Lami lives. Under the same anger. Under the same shouting. No wonder she hides to cry. He worked until his hands hurt. But each time he paused, he reminded himself why he was here. Not for money, not for peace, but for purpose. And something in his spirit kept telling him that his purpose and Lami's pain were connected. Later in the afternoon, rain fell suddenly. Heavy, loud, rushing rain. Workers ran. Madame Kulu shouted again. Her daughters screamed about their hairstyles. Everyone scattered. But in the chaos someone slipped. Lumi. She fell near the kitchen entrance. Debo dropped the broom and ran. He reached her before she stood up. Her wrapper was soaked, her face tight with pain. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "No, yes, my ankle," she winced. He bent and touched her foot gently. She gasped softly. He looked into her eyes. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "It's okay," she said, her voice shaking. "Let me take you inside." She shook her head. "If Madam sees you carrying me, she will shout." He ignored her. He scooped her into his arms. She gasped again, this time from surprise, and held his shoulder lightly for balance. Rain poured heavily, but he held her like she was something precious. Another worker saw them and covered her mouth, shocked, but he didn't care. He took Lami inside the staff quarters and set her gently on her bed. "Thank you," she whispered, wiping her wet face. He wanted to say more, but someone suddenly appeared at the door. It was Musa. He looked angry. "What is going on here?" Musa asked, folding his arms. Debo stood up. "She fell outside." Musa eyed both of them suspiciously. "Be careful. This house has eyes." And Madam does not like workers doing nonsense. He walked away. Lami looked down at her hands. You shouldn't have carried me. People will talk. He smiled softly. Let them talk. Her eyes lifted to his for a brief moment, and something warm passed between them. Something that made both of them look away at the same time. The next few days were quiet. Lami limped a little, but still did her duties. Debo worked harder than ever. He swept, washed, cleaned, opened the gate for visitors, and even helped the gardener fix broken pots. Every passerby noticed how serious he was. Even Musa stopped shouting at him because there was nothing to shout about. But one person noticed him more than others. Madame Kulu's second daughter, the one with long nails and heavy makeup. Her name was Binta. One evening, she came to the gate and leaned on the wall, watching him. You, she called. He turned. Yes, ma. She smiled slowly. You're cute for a gate man. He bowed his head politely. Thank you, ma. She stepped closer. Where are you from? You don't talk like a poor man. I'm from Plateau State. She raised an eyebrow. Interesting. Do you have girlfriend? No, ma. Are you sure? Yes, ma. She smiled wider. Good. I like honest men. Come to my room later. I want you to help me carry something. His heart jumped. He knew what that meant. She didn't need help carrying anything. She wanted something else. I will send Musa, he said quietly. Her face twisted. Are you refusing me? I just don't want trouble. She scoffed. You will regret it. And she left angrily. The next morning trouble began. Madame Kulu called a meeting. The workers gathered, confused. Binta stood beside her mother, looking proud. Someone in this house, Madame Kulu announced, is disrespecting my daughter. Everyone looked at each other. She pointed at Debo. Ooh, come out. He stepped forward slowly. My daughter said you insulted her, Madame said. Is it true? No, ma. I didn't. Binta hissed loudly. He refused me. He said he is too big to help me. Workers gasped. Madame Kulu's eyes widened with anger. Gate man, are you mad? Who are you to refuse my daughter? Debo bowed. I'm sorry, ma. I didn't mean any disrespect. So you're saying my daughter is lying? He swallowed. No, ma. Then why didn't you go when she called you? Silence. He could not answer that question without offending someone. Madame raised her hand. Pack your things. Leave my house. The workers gasped again. Lami stepped forward without thinking. Ma, please. Madame snapped. Shut up. Are you the one I'm talking to? Lami froze. Binta smirked. Debo lowered his head. If you want me to leave, I will leave. He turned and began walking toward the gatehouse. But before he reached the door, a sudden voice rose behind him. Madam, please. Lami cried. It was me. Fell that day. He carried me because I was hurt. He has never disrespected anyone. He is a good man. Everyone turned to her. Madame's eyes narrowed. Oh, so that is why you're defending him like this. No, ma, Lami whispered. I just don't want you to punish him unfairly. Madame stared at her for a long, silent moment. Then she said, both of you should leave my compound. The entire place fell silent. Madam. Someone tried to speak. Both of you, she repeated. Leave now. Lami covered her mouth in shock. Tears filled her eyes. Debo felt his chest tighten painfully. He wanted to speak. He wanted to take the blame. He wanted to protect her. But Lami turned to him and whispered, please, don't say anything. Let's just go. So they left. 2 small bags. 2 hearts wounded. 2 souls walking away without knowing where next to step. Outside the gate, Lami wiped her tears with shaking hands. I'm sorry, she whispered. I dragged you into this. No, he said. I am the one who caused it. She shook her head. I have nowhere to go. He stared at her. Come with me, he said gently. She lifted her eyes slowly. Where? He exhaled. There is something I need to tell you. She blinked. I'm not who you think I am. Lami frowned softly. What do you mean? He opened his bag and brought out a small card. His real identity card. She took it, looked at it, and froze. Her mouth dropped open. You're a billionaire. He nodded slowly. She stared at him in disbelief. Then why were you working as a gateman? He looked into her eyes, his voice soft and honest. Because I wanted to find someone who would treat me kindly without knowing who I was. Someone whose heart was pure. Someone like you. Her eyes widened and tears gathered again, this time from shock. You're lying, she whispered. No, he said. Everything is true. I came here to start again. To find something real. Her hands shook as she held the card. And you choose me. Yes, he said simply. She looked away, overwhelmed. But I'm nobody. He stepped closer. You are everything I was searching for. Tears spilled from her eyes. But she wiped them quickly. What happens now? He took a deep breath. Now, take you somewhere safe. And we start again. This time with truth. She nodded slowly, trusting him without fear. He called someone. A black SUV arrived in minutes. The driver stepped out, shocked to see his boss looking like a gateman. But Debo waved the questions away. He opened the car door for Lami. As she entered the car, she whispered something softly. Thank you for choosing me. He smiled. Then he entered beside her. They drove away from Madame Kulu's mansion, away from shouting and fear, away from pain and humiliation. They drove toward a new life. One built on kindness. One built on truth. One built on love that was finally real. And that was how a billionaire found the woman his heart had been searching for. Not in his mansion, not in his wealth, but in the quiet tears of a girl who still had love inside her, even when life tried to break her.